Their house. It's not your house.
Exactly. I'm just a guest here. All right, guys. I'm the feeder. That's about it. Welcome to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. I'm your host, Alan Ulrich, and with my partner in crime here, Mr. Sean Williams. How you doing tonight, Sean?
Doing fantastic, man. I couldn't ask for any better. Although the weather is inclement, if the power goes out, I have my trusty backup right here, ready to go. We want to thank the Fan First Productions for sponsoring our show, and we want to invite everyone to go on to iTunes, YouTube, to the Under the Dome channels and subscribe. We're trying to up our numbers, and we invite everyone to be part of what we're doing here. We are the voice of fans for the New Orleans Saints, and we thank everyone for their loyal support. And so without any further ado, moment of full disclosure. When we first, one of our very first meetings here about who we could possibly bring on to, for lack of a better term, validate what we were doing, one of the first names that came up was the New Orleans Advocate's New Orleans Saints reporter, Mr. Nick Underhill. And I want to say, Under the Dome fans, here you go. One more checked off the bucket list. We want to welcome in Mr. Nick Underhill. How are you doing tonight, Nick?
I'm doing great. If you need validation from me, though, I mean, the bar's pretty low.
Well, we love getting.
Not at all, man. Not.
It's an honor to have a Saints beat reporter. And I have to say, your work is some of the best work I've been watching and reading about the Saints for a long, long time, and especially in the digital age where people find out things almost instantaneously via Twitter and social media. I have to say, you are like in the forefront as getting out good information to the fans, not just rumors, not just speculation, but good, solid information. And that's so important, especially in the era of fake news and so forth. I really appreciate the stuff that you do for us.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys reading me and having me on here.
And your film breakdown is awesome. It's some of the best I've seen out there because so few people actually break down the film effectively and look at the game that way. And it helps so much to understand why things happen the way they happen. People say things like, well, Drew Brees threw too much to Jimmy Graham. Well, when you look at the film, you start to understand why he was throwing so much to Jimmy Graham or why he was throwing so many checkdowns based on coverages and things like that. And fans need to understand that.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I veer towards the film because it's just a way to cut through the bull crap and not get caught in the narratives. And I don't like to just say things. If I'm going to say something, I want to have something to back it up. So to me, it's just kind of taking pride in the job. And, people are taking time to read me. I want to give them the time that they're putting into me back. So it's just, that's just the way to be accurate, I think, or at least attempt to be accurate. I might not always be right. What I think I'm seeing might not always be right, but if I'm wrong, I mean, I'm going to put a lot of work into being wrong. So at least there's the effort there.
Well,
yeah,
you withstand social media, so everyone thinks you're right. So that's a good thing.
I've been in contact with, especially in light of all the Butler stuff that's been going on. I've been in contact with quite a few guys, and every one of them, to a man, said, hey, there's a guy that used to be up here that's down there now that you really ought to take the time to look into following on the Saints stuff. That's Nick Underhill. And I'm like, dude, that's like a morning ritual for me. Pull up Nick and see what he says. Absolutely.
So Nick,
Alan.
Nick, give us your impressions, I guess, or your thoughts on where you think the Saints should go in the draft, and who do you like at 11, and who do you like at 32?
I mean, I'm not sure I've really fallen in love with anyone yet. Last year, Michael Thomas was kind of the guy that I really liked a lot for the Saints, and they ended up taking him, and it made me look smarter than I really am. But, I mean, at 11, I mean, there's some options there. I like Reuben Foster a lot. I like his tape probably better than anybody's, but then there's a report from the MMQB about him having some issues with the playbook. And if that's a real thing, that scares me a lot. At 32, I mean, the guy I like is Malcolm Butler, actually, but I mean, that's not an option. I mean, going down to 42, I mean, there's so much off field to deal with, but I mean, I think Joe Mixon is such a, just football wise, I mean, there's a lot for the team to figure out. I mean, that's not up to me to figure out. And that's a big part of the decision. But if you're okay with that and you think he's not going to get in trouble again, I think scheme-wise, there's not a guy that fits the team better in the whole draft. But as far as what they need to do, I mean, you know, obviously, if everything works out perfectly, you'd love to see some combination of a pass rusher and a cornerback within those first 3 picks. But if it doesn't work out that way, I'm fine with them going any direction. I don't think it has to be defense, defense, defense with the first 3. If there's an offensive guy and there's a fit, or if it's even a quarterback that will eventually become the guy, if you take him that early, he has to end up being the guy eventually. If that happened, I'd be okay with it.
Oh man, you're preaching my religion. You're preaching my religion because. Go ahead,
Nick. You mentioned the quarterback position. And I'd just like to know, who are your short list as far as who the Saints could possibly pick up in this draft? And also at the same time, where would you feel comfortable in them investing a draft pick in the quarterback position at?
I think the 2 I like probably the most are probably Watson and Mahomes. I'm not a big Trubisky guy. They would invest. Look, I mean, I'm like way out there on this, but if he's going to be your guy for the next 10, 15 years and you use the 11th pick and you get 15 years of top 10 quarterback play, I'm cool with that. I mean, I don't get caught up in the 1-year prism, the 1-year window. I mean, I think you got to be looking farther down the line. Just 100% say Deshaun Watson's going to be the guy. You want to take him at 11. That's where you think you have to take him.
My only fear if you take a quarterback, especially in the first round, either 11 or 32, you're pretty much locked into a window where you're going to have to start this guy within the next 5 years. Even if you say with Drew, okay, we'll get 2 or 3 years out of you, you really want to get some years under his belt before he hits that 5th year option and decide whether or not this is the right guy for you.
I agree with that, but I mean, at the same time, if he's the right guy in every preseason, or if there's a couple games where he's got to make a spot start and he's doing his thing, then you have a situation like the Patriots have with Jimmy Garoppolo, where they probably could trade him. They invested a 2nd-round pick. They could probably get a first, if not more than 1 first. So if it's the right guy, you develop him. He's making that showcase. I mean, you're one way or another. If he's the right guy, you're making that the right investment. And look, I mean, if you get 4 years down the road, Drew's what? You know, well into his 40s by then, and you're convinced this can be your guy. Right, you're convinced you can get 10 years out of this other guy. I mean, I think you just make the hard decision. You got to make a shrewd decision, unless, of course, you know, you're in the champion. You know, they're getting to the Super Bowl, or you have a legitimate shot. That maybe you do what the Patriots do, and think about maybe franchising the guy, and then see where you're at a year down the road, and then maybe make a deal or make a hard decision, but. Guy, I don't care where it happens, but he would have to absolutely be the right guy if you go at 11 or even 32.
Well, Nick, let me ask you this. You made mention of the fact earlier that the guy that you liked at 32 was Malcolm Butler. Correct?
Yeah.
Well, I asked that for a specific reason. There's so much going on now about what could or couldn't happen. The possibilities of what New England may want, this and that and the other. What price would you be willing to sign off on as being legitimate for Malcolm Butler to come to New Orleans and become a Saint? What do you think would be fair?
The 2 things I've heard are 32 or a 2nd and a 3rd. And honestly, I think I would rather give up 32 than 2 picks, because 32 and 42 in this draft, which is deep, it's kind of flat. You know, the guy you're going to get it somewhere in talent is the guy you're going to get at like 40. So if they got 42 there and then they got another third, I mean, unless it's a quarterback where that 5th year becomes like a major thing, as far as we were just talking about the window with Drew and everything, and it extends it out. But I mean, I would rather have the 2 picks than trading. I'd rather trade 32 than a second and a third. And I think 32 would be fair, unless, of course, if you can do something where, maybe it's a second this year and a third next year, then maybe you kick the can down the road a little bit. But I think either one of those scenarios are fair, but I prefer 1 pick over 2.
Absolutely. I agree completely. Alan?
Well, you mentioned earlier about Joe Mixon. That is one of my players. I've had him circled, probably since at least since the Sugar Bowl, as one of the guys I really want the Saints to look hard at. And I'm, Sean's laughing because I bring him up all the time, but
man, I'm from Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it is the value you get off the field stuff aside. You're getting probably one of the best backs in the draft, who, if he was a squeaky clean Drew Brees type of character, he would be talked about in the top 10 easily. And this is a guy who, if I drew up what I would want, the kind of running back I'd like to have in the Saints offense, Mixon would be that guy, just on his pass receptions and so forth. So he is the guy I wanted for a long time. And I think if we could get him in the second, or at worst, at the top of the 3rd round, that would be just incredible.
Like you said, his talent's crazy, and he would be an early 1st round guy. It's just like it's such a hard topic to talk about, because you don't want to loving the players so much, just because I don't love the off field. What you did off the field is bad. The video is very hard to watch. But I mean, to me, if they were to take him, I don't think, like, the outcry would probably be crazy. There'd be a lot of people that are mad, and then I think eventually, it'd settle down. But it would always be there to some capacity. But I don't think drafting him is saying, hey, we're okay with him punching a woman in the face. I think drafting him is saying, we think he learned from it, and you're going to get 4 years where he's not going to get in trouble. And that's the thing.
Yep.
Like, if you can go 4 years, I say this all the time. I used to cover the Patriots. The error wasn't drafting Aaron Hernandez. The error was signing him to an extension. He got through those 4 years, but then he went bad. He was in their building. They didn't see the warning signs. And I just think if they take Mixon, they got to get 4 years out of him where he doesn't get in trouble. Right decision then, whether he's going to stay around or not. But, I mean, there's a lot to consider. His visit, I was told, went well. They liked him. But, I mean, there's a lot there that they're going to have to figure out if they are going to pull the trigger.
I just go back to, and, it's funny because I had this debate a couple years ago with some receivers, but if you just go back to Randy Moss and you look at that character, that his off the field stuff, and he ended up all the way to Marshall because of the problems he had off the field. And then on draft day, you just watched him slide down all the way to the Minnesota Vikings, which was the perfect offense for him to go to. And he had this unbelievable rookie year. I just feel like Mixon is more Moss-like than he is, say, Lawrence Phillips-like. Where Lawrence Phillips, all the warning signs are there, but the Rams take him at 6 anyway, and sure enough, it blows up in their face. And that's just my feeling on him right now.
I mean, if they take him, they better be right and hope he is Moss-like. I mean, if that's the danger. I mean, if he gets in trouble, it's going to be so much. It's going to be bad. Like, if he gets in trouble in the next 4 years, it's going to be bad. Every little thing he does is going to be blown up. Like, I see people talking about how he, like, put his hand up to his ear in a game when the fans were talking. I'm like, who cares? Like, that doesn't matter. There was an incident with the meter maid. Like, it looks worse because of the history. But, like, who hasn't been mad at the meter maid before? I've gotten a ticket and yelled at the cop. Like, it's not in the newspaper. I mean, like, you see him writing the ticket, you're going to get pissed off. It's just the way it is. But, I mean, that's the life he's going to live, wherever he goes, every little thing's going to be blowing up. And he's just got to make sure he stays squeaky clean, is a good citizen. I think if you brought him into a locker room, initially there's probably going to be some division, people feeling one way or another. If he shows that he's a good teammate, he puts his head down, does his job, like that stuff, it'll go away. But, I mean, he's just got to be right once he gets into the league.
Exactly. And
Nick,
I only have a – Go ahead, Sean. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say the analogy that Nick made earlier about Aaron Hernandez. That as he's speaking, it reminded me so much. Well, without the murder conviction of Junior Gillette here in New Orleans.
Oh,
again, yeah. The extension was a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, Junior Gillette had that same kind of pattern though that I don't think Mixon has, where he got kicked out of one program, had to go down to a junior college, I believe, and the Saints found him as an undrafted free agent, and he went
to Canada, didn't he?
No, that's not the one who went to Canada. The one who went to Canada.
I apologize. That was Keem Hicks, Regina.
Yes, Keem Hicks,
right.
Yeah, from Regina. Right. And that was something that was totally out of his control. He got caught up in that LSU scandal, and that's how Hicks ended up over in Canada. But no, I mean, with a player like Gillette, you saw a pattern of behavior, but you took him as an undrafted free agent, so there really was little risk involved in signing him. It was only after you gave him the extension that, the true Gillette showed up again.
Right. And shut up again this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, they were having fun with that.
I agree with one. Quarterback picks. I picked two going into this this draft season that I really, really liked. One of them was Peterson from Pitt as a much later round possibility, but the one at the top of the list that I really liked was Mahomes. I watched the kid play a lot at Texas Tech this fall.
Yeah, he's a good player. The thing for me is just, and it's probably not fair, but I mean, coming out of that offense, every quarterback that's come out of that offense hasn't done well in the league. It's probably not fair to make him have to answer for the sins of, all these other guys, but it's just kind of the way it is. And, that's probably something that he has to answer a lot in his interviews. And,
yeah,
it looks like he has all the tools. It's just if there was like one little concern, that would be it for me.
Well, I just go back to the 1990s and University of Houston. That's what Texas Tech reminds me of, Texas Tech quarterback, Andre Ware, David Klingler, guys are putting up, Madden kind of numbers, 7,000 yards passing and 50 touchdowns. And this is ungodly numbers for college football.
Man,
and then they get to the pros and they can't
play this year. I watched Mahomes play this year against Oklahoma, and I kid you not, in that one game, he had over 800 yards passing, over 80 attempts.
That was an insane game.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen in the NFL. I mean, you just can't do that, So that will expose you.
Maybe can either shoot me down or lend some validity to this. I think that now, and you may have been the one that pointed this out to me in initially anyway, Alan. College offenses now are not nearly as geared towards training quarterbacks to go to the next level in the NFL as they used to be. Now they're so much more geared towards competing at the college level. Is that true or not?
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, they're dumb. I mean, the guys are getting calls off of, cards on the sideline. Spread. I mean, it's good for the program. And look, I can't blame the colleges for doing that. I mean, they aren't getting paid the whole Bill Belichick win game. I mean, it's something they talk about every year. They're in the complications of it's not just quarterbacks. It's players all over. I mean, it's just the systems are completely different. And, you see a pro-style quarterback, and those guys tend to maybe get bumped up a little bit more just because they are a little bit more ready and there aren't as many questions to answer.
The systems today, and I hate to use the word dumb down because that's not a good term, but it's simplified. Yeah, well, okay, but it's really simplified. It really is. It really is. I mean, you only have to read half the field. You make one read, and they get the best athlete to play quarterback. They don't get necessarily the best quarterback as far as skills playing. And again, this is going to sound like I'm really ripping into people, but I'm trying not to. But it's not. You don't have the time to sit there. They don't have as big as the coaching staffs are today. You just don't have the time to stay and work with a kid on footwork, mechanics. Hold the ball up here. This is your first read. This is your second read. What's your third read? This is the option you have. You know, they don't go through all that. They're basically trying to, just make it easy for them. We'll have these guys go this formation. Just look at this side the whole time, and that's where it is. And it's really simple. It really is.
I mean, some of the guys never even take a snap under center. They can go 4 years and never be under center. So I mean, they definitely aren't worried about preparing them for the NFL.
No, they're all about winning now. And the more points you score, the better it is. And it's winning, getting into that playoff, or used to be just getting to a bowl game, but getting that money. And that's just the way college football is now. We almost need a developmental league in the NFL, like the old NFL Europe, to help some of these kids that just are not pro ready.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, there's a lot of guys that came in too from that league. It's a shame that they're trying to start that thing up at the Greenbrier. I don't think that's going to have nearly the effect that the NFL Europe is having or used to have. But I mean, yeah, it'd be nice if there was, because there's a lot of guys that probably wash out that, with the right coaching and patience, maybe they would develop into something. But I mean, it's just not there.
Well, Nick,
go ahead.
Nick, I want to thank you so much for making the time for us. We're about to get into
no problem.
Our weekly segment on Saints News. If you got enough time, we can stick around. But if not, let everyone know how they can follow you. And
yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Your work.
I'm on Twitter at Nick_Underhill, and I can give you guys like 10 more minutes.
Okay, good deal. Good deal.
We got the whole Malcolm Butler, Richard Sherman, Adrian Peterson carousel continues to turn and turn and turn. We are all aware that Adrian Peterson made a visit to New Orleans today. Is there any news coming out of that aside from the fact that he showed up? He lived long enough to get to New Orleans, and that's all they're going to tell us.
I mean, all I've heard so far is that he was there today. It went well, and I was told, we'll see. So, I mean, I don't think the door is closed on anything. I mean, as far as bringing him in, it would make a lot of sense to me. I think they need another running back behind Mark Ingram. I know it's been pointed out, hey, why not just give Ingram a bigger role? Well, look, he's played 16 games twice in his career. It seems like around Sean Payton for, 6 or 7 years, that he probably has a pretty good idea how to use him. He just had a 1,000-yard year. I know he just played like 46% of the snaps, but I think having that workload last year was kind of the sweet spot for him. So if you can bring in a guy to replace Hightower that I think probably should be a little bit better than Hightower, I think that's fair to say, even though he's coming off this injury. The right number, it makes all the sense in the world. But, I mean, maybe you wait and see what you can do in the draft before doing that. I just think it would make a lot of sense if the number's right.
Nick, I'm going to give you the position of being Mickey Loomis / Sean Payton. You had the option of possibly investing in what may have been the best running back in the National Football League in the past decade, although his best days are behind him, or possibly investing in the next generation through the draft. Which would you take?
I mean, I'd always take the younger player. I mean, but if you can plug the hole and not go into the draft like having to find somebody, I think that's okay. So to me, if the number's right, and you have Adrian Peterson and say, just throwing a name out there, Joe Mixon around, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think you could find a way to use Mixon in the passing game. He'd still get his carries. You put him out there on third down, and you don't have the runner pass tell, on like a 3rd and 2 or something like that. I think they could figure it out. But, I mean, if you had to go one way or the other, I mean, I'd take the younger guy for sure.
I agree.
How about the rumors of Richard Sherman? What are you hearing about this? It seems like this is more fan and social media driven than an actual news story, because he's not going on any visits. He's not. You don't hear anything from his agent or anything that's going on. So, what is your feeling about Richard Sherman? What are they trying to do with this?
Well, I mean, as far as the Saints go, I've heard nothing to make me think that it's a real thing. But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, given that they are out there looking for a cornerback, if they make the call. But, I mean, to me, if you have to trade for one, I think if you were a team, like, say, the Patriots that are on the cusp of, going back to the Super Bowl, they're right there. I think I would rather have Sherman because he might be a better player right now. But if you're the Saints and you're kind of still at the end of this rebuilding mode, I would probably go with the 27-year-old guy, sign him to, say a 4-year deal. You got 4 years with them. After 2 years,
right?
Sherman's going to be 31. Butler's going to be 29. Sherman's probably going to be fading at that point. Whereas you still got 2 more good years with Butler. So if I had to make a decision, I'd probably go with Butler.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with him either.
Well, let me ask you this, Nick. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Let me ask you this, Nick. To a certain extent, I equate both Butler and Sherman kind of, sort of in the same category there, because both of those guys, their strengths on the field lie in the fact that a piece of a bigger unit. Not sure exactly how to say what I'm trying to say here. Their strengths lie in the unit rather than than them individually.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Is that a fair assessment?
I think maybe with Sherman, I mean, we've seen him in one scheme and it plays with strengths. Butler, I watched all the snaps with the Patriots from last year, and really, a lot of times he was man-to-man on an island. And I mean, that's not a system thing. Man-to-man plays anywhere. He can play inside. He can play outside. A lot of times, he would be covering, say, the number 2 guy, and Logan Ryan would be on the 1 with safety help. Devin McCourty shading over top. But I mean, I wouldn't call Butler a system guy at all.
Okay.
I agree with that. I would agree with that. I thought Butler was a bit of a system corner as well, but I watched him. It's hard because Bill Belichick, he is probably one of the best coaches in NFL history. He knows what his players do best. He knows what they do badly, and he never puts his players in a position where they can get exposed. So I looked at Butler and I kind of felt like, well, that's great. He played for Belichick, and Belichick really knew how to use him. However, my dog is in here, by the way. That's what the squeaking sound is, and she is a giant puppy. It's a black lab, and
I thought my cell phone was squeaking.
No, she's been wrestling with me while I'm on the air because she just demands attention. Anyway, what I was saying was, so I felt that, okay, are we really seeing the true Butler, or are we seeing the Bill Belichick version of Butler? And if he comes to the Saints, what would happen now that he is away from Belichick's coaching? And, what kind of player are we actually going to get? And that's my biggest concern. That's my biggest fear with him. And it's not a knock on the player. It's just more of a concern of, okay, that's in the Patriot system. Any player that's come from the Patriot system and has gone on to another team, suddenly they don't look nearly as good as they did when they were in New England.
That's probably fair. I mean, he's never wrong either. Like Belichick, even if he makes a move that looks completely insane, he's never like they traded Jamie Collins. Jamie Collins, one of the best players in the league, with a late round linebacker, and they're fine and don't miss a guy at all. So I mean, I think it's a fair concern, but I think if you watch the player, there's a reason you don't want to pay him when the money comes up. I mean, he can't cover. Often cover bigger guys, and you come to the NFC South, it's all bigger guys. You're going to give somebody $13 million a year or whatever it's going to be. Would maybe want to give that money to Gilmore instead of Butler, but having said that,
that is probably the biggest red flag I saw was that here you go and sign a cornerback from Buffalo, and you don't pay Butler that money, and I couldn't figure, why don't you do that? And it's just with Belichick, you always feel like you're dealing with a car dealer, and you need to hold on to your wallet while you deal with him, because even though the deal sounds great, when you go back and look, I go, say, wait a minute, did I really just agree to 20% interest on this?
What the hell?
Yeah, so I mean, that's just the feeling you get whenever you deal with Belichick. Yeah, great car note. You're just gonna be paying us for 8 years, kind of thing.
I mean, even with that though, in this system, like say he isn't the guy covering Mike Evans. If Delvin Breaux's healthy, you have a guy that has shown time and again that he can do that just fine. Then you have another guy on the other side that's if there are any real shutdown corners in the league, and that's a stretch for anybody. But a guy that can realistically, more times than not, lock down his side, and you don't have to, put a safety over there, and you got Breaux on the other side, you don't need a safety over there. Suddenly, New England didn't have a great pass rush. They had, a pretty solid secondary. Suddenly, your team, and if you don't get that elite pass rusher, maybe you're just good enough still with that, great secondary.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard that argument a lot. Where you're going to get a much better corner in Butler than almost any cornerback you draft initially. Maybe you might get lucky and you'll get a great cornerback in the draft, a Patrick Peterson kind of cornerback in the draft, and not a Stanley Jean-Baptiste in the draft.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, last question, I guess. What are your thoughts about anytime a former Saint gets released? It seems that Twitter universe and Facebook explode with, oh, we can bring back Tracy Porter. Oh, we can bring back Raphael Bush. Oh, we can bring back Chase Daniel. What's your feeling about Tracy Porter? Now he's been released from the Bears. Are you okay over there, Sean?
I think it's ironic that three of the three names you mentioned, two of them are signed.
Oh, I know. But I mean, it's just, it's the whole Blues Brothers thing. We're getting the band back together. We're on a mission from God.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have no feeling on Tracy Porter. I haven't thought about it much. I mean, I guess if, it doesn't cost, like it never hurts to bring somebody in who can't be, wins a job, doesn't win a job, whatever. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about him. I haven't really thought about him. I mean, I was asked a few times, and I don't know.
In my opinion, he's not a factor. He's not a factor in the team and the team's plans. I mean, the Saints actually let him go when he left as a free agent. He's immortalized because of the plays he made in 2009. Well, two interceptions. Yeah. Interceptions, and as a result, people have a greater opinion of him, and justifiably so, I guess, but have a greater opinion of him than his skill set actually, dictates.
But in all reality and fairness, you have to allow, while you revere him for two interceptions that he made, you also have to allow the fact that he just got cut from what very well could be the very worst team in this league.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of the reason why he got let go is because he could never stay healthy. So,
Well, I want to take this opportunity to, from the very bottom of my heart, without any on-screen hero worship type stuff or anything like that. Any of you guys that call yourselves Saints fans that do not follow Nick Underhill and his work are doing yourselves a huge disservice. This guy he's the man as far as New Orleans Saints goes. Nick, can you tell all of our fans how to follow you and your work?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Nick_Underhill, and I appreciate you guys having me on here. And we can do it on connection. Doesn't look like I'm talking to some, so thanks for having me on here.
Thank you, Nick, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yep,
Thank
no
you
problem.
so
Take it easy,
much,
guys.
Nick.
Thank you.
From our director of media relations, Mr. Sean Pinto, thank you so much for talking about the quarterback position that we never addressed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Nick, so much.
All right,
Thank you, Nick.
For taking part in our show, man.
All right. I got my dog going crazy in here. She's a puppy, so she's like teething. So she's like biting my arm, grabbing at me. So, I hate looking like I was distracted the whole time, but, I'm trying to, and she's just like anxious. So anyway.
Well, we were supposed to have Nick for 15 to 20 minutes, and we got 40.
That's it. I'm very happy with that, and I'm glad we got him to talk about some things. He talked about my favorite player, Joe Mixon. Listen, I tell people this, on social media, and I say it all the time. I get his backstory. I totally get that, but I'm just looking at it strictly as a football player only. And I know a lot of people are just like, I don't care what he can do. He punched a woman. Screw that guy. Get him off the board. And I've said that before about other players. I said that about Randy Gregory 2 years ago. I'm like, the dude showed up testing positive for drugs at the combine. That's like showing up to a job interview drunk or smelling of alcohol. You don't have to be drunk, just smelling of alcohol because you were on an all-night bender. It's just not a good impression. So, that's why I would cut a guy like Randy Gregory off. Now, if Mixon would have decked a chick, hang on, let's be politically correct. If he would have punched a woman like his senior year, this year, and this video came out right before the draft, or like the kid from Miami, what was it? From Ole Miss, the left tackle, Tunsil. I think that's how you say his name, Tunsil. Tunstall, thank you. I kept wanting to say turnstile. That's not who it is. Tunstall. If you, or of course, some Dolphin fans might think he's that. On draft day, showing up, they took that picture of him with the gas mask and the bong and the whole bit. That's the stuff that makes you look bad. That's the stuff that you go, no, that's okay. I'll pass on this guy. I don't care about his football talent, because chances are he's going to spend more time being suspended than he will playing for me. So, yeah, I get that. But Mixon, it's been a couple of years, and like Underhill said, they had a couple incidents, him cupping his ear at the Sugar Bowl when the fans were taunting him. If he comes out, I guess he's not a first-round pick, but if you come out like Johnny Manziel with the money thing, he comes out like this, like he's ready to fight. I'm like, oh, well, maybe we made a bad decision, but I don't know. Especially, I really like him in the third round. Getting a player like that in the third round, it's so the risk versus reward is so it's so heavily favored in reward if he turns out to be the player that I think he can be in this offense. I mean, God, I'm just imagining just for our little friend on Twitter, I'm just imagining the GIFs and the memes I can send him of Mixon just tearing the Falcons apart. That's just how I feel. So anyway,
funny you should bring that up.
Oh well, that's a little.
The worst thing that, with all due respect to both God and all of my friends,
Yeah.
I want to just add the disclaimer that if you're easily offended, you may want to hit mute.
Oh, we are going to profanity tirade. Are you going to turn to Joe Pesci?
No, I'm not going
Okay.
to profanity.
Okay.
But I did put my notes up here because I want to make sure that I get this correct. We had an issue this week. I want to preface by saying that Under the Dome is something that began right here, and I'm being really animated. In all openness and sincerity, Under the Dome is like a piece of me. This is something that I had a concept of and I developed, and that being said, it's not only become a part of all of you guys' week, but just as importantly, it's become a part of my existence. And that being said, it's something that I will protect up to and including with vehement measures when it comes to this podcast. You do not mess with family, and you do not mess with something that belongs to me. That being said, on Twitter at Dwayne786553339, and the Twitter name is #ArriveViolently. And if anyone needs this repeated, like me personally, you were asked politely to refrain from posting trash talk on our show's site. You were even directed that everyone connected to this show, their Twitter handles were pinned to the top of our page. You were asked to stop, and you chose not to. You chose to continue this Atlanta Falcons bull crap, and I'm trying to censor myself because in the event that my my Bible study teacher is going to see this, you chose to keep this up. I just put your Twitter handle out there. You have been blocked from the Under the Dome Twitter podcast account. But hey, we're far reaching, baby. You're desperate for attention.
You know,
go ahead.
I'm
about to have an aneurysm. Go ahead.
My wife and my friends and all, we all have a saying about someone like that. You know, it's the same saying that you have about somebody who drives a young guy driving a big fancy sports car. You know, what do women think immediately when you have the big shiny overcompensating sports car? Sorry about your fandom, man. You feel like you have to go and challenge us. You know, honestly, for what, the first 40 something years of this rivalry, it was really, who comes first in last place. I'm trying to be politically correct, but it's
Don't be,
we
man.
we
We own
well,
our channel.
okay, all right, fine. It's the first 40 something years of this,
remember,
of
my
both
people may be
franchises.
watching.
The first 40 years of both franchises, we were both really jokes. We really were. I mean, the Saints didn't have a winning season the first 21 years of the existence. The Falcons didn't even have back-to-back winning seasons until 2008. So you're not talking about. This is not Packers Bears. This is not Redskins Cowboys or Eagles Giants kind of rivalry. This is two amputees trying to have a fist fight for the first 40 years of existence. So
I didn't realize you were fixing to offend wholesale.
I mean, to come on and start talking smack because you finally got something and you've never won a significant football game in the entire 51 years of your existence. It's like, sit down, little boy. You're just embarrassing yourself. I mean, we all know you're overcompensating for your shortcomings in life. We don't need evidence of it on social media. So yeah, people have fun with him. Play with him like a cat plays with its prey. He's easy pickings. He really is. I doubt he even knows who players like William Andrews, Steve Barkowski, Alfred Jenkins, Billy White Shoes Johnson, Jesse Tuggle. I doubt he knows who any of these people are because he became a Falcons fan in 2008. He is not someone who knows a lot about Atlanta. So yeah, he's gonna be an easy picking. Anyway, that wasn't mine. That wasn't mine intended to be.
It was mine. This guy.
That was not.
Please excuse my terminology. This guy has pissed me off. Because
you shouldn't let him piss you off.
This guy, our man John Pinto, posted a promo for having probably one of the best guests that we've had in Nick Underhill. He posted a promo.
All of our guests are good. All of our guests are good. You were all great. We all loved you.
Absolutely. But he chose to choose that as his platform to talk smack. No. We use our show's account on Twitter and our Facebook page. We use that to promote our show, promote guys that we believe in, that we support. He chose that to trash talk. That absolutely pissed me off.
Oh, well, we're just going to give him the United Airlines treatment, and we'll take care of it. It's just called taking out the trash. Don't worry about it.
That being said, on the live chat on YouTube, I have posted the man's Twitter handle. You guys go get him. Punish him with no prejudice whatsoever. You do not mess with what we have worked so hard to establish and to build. And anyway, I for coming across somewhat less than professional. Like I said, it made me very mad that he chose to ambush a promo that John posted and could have meant it could have cost us a very legitimate guest that we had,
Yeah.
and I don't appreciate that. I politely asked him to refrain from such stuff, and he chose not to. You guys eviscerate him.
Yeah, we're gonna kill Atlanta next year, so that's just a given. Anyway, I don't know. You must not have read any of the commentary on some of our Under the Dome podcast, YouTube pages, have you? You ever read any of that stuff? One day I sat there and read some of the comments. The Falcon fans came out and drove one time, both of them. So there was more. Hey, and so they had the little comments to say, and hey, y'all beat us, y'all swept us this year. I mean, y'all swept us a couple of years ago too, in 2014 or 2015, I think, one of those 2 years. It happens so infrequently, I kind of get the years confused. But anyway, they swept us. Big deal, yay. Sean Payton owns this team, owns the Falcons. Y'all have gone through 4 coaches while we've gone through 1. So, once we put the smack down again on you guys in 2017, and we beat you like a rented mule, again, it's going to be right back to where you are, where you belong, at the bottom of the division. And it just goes on from there. It just is. Now, if you're going to bring up old crap, we could talk about the old crap all day long. But I'm just going to say,
and when
when you win,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, when you actually win something other than a participation trophy, then you can talk smack. But all you've got is a participation trophy. You've got 2 of them hanging in your stadium. Glad you made it. And from now on, history will show whenever the Super Bowl is played, the stat will come up when the team is behind. The largest deficit ever come back from was New England Patriots or the Atlanta Falcons, 25 points. While we come on every year in the Super Bowl highlight collection on Super Bowl week, and we show up every year on NFL Network, America's Game, the Falcons show up as the team that gets beaten on Super Bowl highlight week, and they don't even qualify for missing rings. You get to see maybe a sliver of the Falcons in the Minnesota Vikings 1988 missing rings thing, because the Vikings were actually a really good team that the Falcons upset. So there you go. Anyway, I had no intention to go into the whole Falcons tirade. I have to wash my mouth out.
Well,
I think this is acid.
As I said earlier, I absolutely did have every last intention of going there.
Well,
and I absolutely invite every last one of our people that are on Twitter to eviscerate this ass clown. Excuse my French. But you don't mess with what we've created. Absolutely, bottom line, trash talk, I don't support it. I understand that it's a part of the game now. All that being said, you don't mess with what we've
just go after
our humps.
I can deal with good trash talk. I can't deal with ugliness. And if you get ugly with me, welcome to band camp. Enjoy your stay, because I'm not going to deal with ugliness. I'm just as witty as you can possibly be. I can come up with great comebacks. I can come up with great lines. I have a thorough command of totally useless information and statistics. So I'm going to give you all kinds of stuff. But anyway.
I I would like to.
We're giving this guy way too much airtime. We're giving this guy way too much airtime. You know, he only deserves.
I would like to commend you on the fact that you brought up the sewage thing.
Oh well, yeah.
Outside the.
Oh, that's a given, especially the article. The article is awesome because the article talks about after the Falcons stunk up the field against the Panthers, then they had a sewage backup in their own locker room. That's awesome. That's just so perfect. You know, but like I said, this guy, we're giving this guy way too much airtime. He deserves a little bit of airtime, a little bit. You know, just like what his girlfriend said, a little bit.
On a much better note, and I do apologize for not having any more details than I do. A week or so ago, I asked that you guys remember and keep in your prayers the Lambert family over the fact that they were dealing with a cancer scare in their household, and I'm happy to report that the Lambert family has received a very good report this week, and that the tumors have shrunk due to the chemo or the treatments that they have been a part of. I hope to further elaborate on that as the details allow.
Good deal. Good deal. Well, you know, we only got a couple of weeks left. It's almost Christmas in April. April 25th is our pre-draft show where we're going to talk about the draft, and we've been talking a little bit every week. Today we talked about the quarterbacks. We talked about Joe Mixon. I want to get into the receivers because, unlike some people, I do think we need a receiver. I do not have any confidence in Ted Ginn and Brandon Coleman to replace Brandon Cooks. And even if we had Brandon Cooks, there was a part of me that said, oh, we still need one more guy out there because whether that be a tight end or receiver, just because it's the offense is so predicated on matchups. And when you go back to the Falcons again, when you look at what the Falcons did last year, you know, with that offense with 2 running backs and 3 receivers, just lighten you up like that, the more weapons you have out there, the more difficult it is for the other team to defend. And even if, let's just say, because we've been doing it for every year, it seems like, even if the defense still does not come around, having an offense as explosive as, say, the 2011 team or even the 2009 team, it covers up so many weaknesses that you have on defense because you are forcing teams to go into an aggressive, we've got to pass because we've got to score because we can't stop Breeze and company mindset. And you win a lot of football games. You can get a lot of turnovers when teams feel that like that because they try and make every possession count and they take risks that they may not normally take. And the turnover differential is such a huge margin in football. It's a difference between winning and losing. If we can get a guy who can rush the passer and we can get a secondary that can stay healthy and get turnovers because of we getting pass rushes, and our offense can go back to firing on all cylinders again. I mean, we don't have to have a number 10 ranked defense or a top 5 defense. We can still stay in the low 20s or mid 20s and win 10 or 11 games in this league because of how powerful our offense is. And we have enough experience in our coaching staff. I have enough faith, at least in our coaching staff. We can win a lot of games that we shouldn't win without having a superstar-laden defense that just dictates. That's just my gut feeling. I'm not saying we don't need good defensive players. We obviously do. But I'm just saying don't freak out if we take offensive players because they work so well in tandem. You kind of forget your weaknesses on defense if your offense is that good. And you saw that again in Atlanta. Atlanta lost that Super Bowl because of stupid coaching decisions, not because
I
of
agree.
offensive talent.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think there's, I've gone out on a limb so often before, but I think that there's a lot of credence to the fact that I think this team is a lot closer than what a lot of people are willing to step out on that limb, so to speak, and allow. As I've said many times on our show, you look at this team, and a year ago we had 9 losses, and of those 9 losses, 6 of them were by a 6-point margin or less.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about intangibles being the deciding factor in a contest, and with that being said, a 7-9 record could so easily have been a 10-6, 11-5 record. You're talking about an extra possession, a less turnover on offense, a greater turnover on defense. So many games coming down to that margin of that difference in deciding the outcome of the game. That could make so much of a difference moving forward. I think this team is very close.
Well, we talked about this before. The whole special teams debacles and replacing special teams coach is probably the first example of how we're addressing that. Plus, we spent a lot of money. So, well, not take that back. We didn't spend a lot of money. We signed a lot of guys to try to improve our special teams, and you see a greater emphasis on this. And I think I looked up this other statistics. I mentioned this when Nick was on, but we gave up 28.1 points per game. The Falcons gave up 25 points per game defensively. You can't make that up. 25 points per game, and
And I think it's worth. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think it's worth mentioning that that's the difference between a first place division champion and a 4th place finish in the division.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I was going to say was, you look at those 3 or 4 games that we lost because of block kicks, return for touchdowns, or block kicks where we, had an opportunity to take a lead, the Giants, the Panthers, and the Broncos games respectively. I mean, that's 3 games. If you get those points, it could possibly go from a 7-9 season to, a 10-6 season. If we keep those, if we win those ball games. So there's so many different factors. You go back again to those 3 games that Drew Brees threw, 6 interceptions and no touchdown passes. That's another 3 games, that the Saints lost that they should have won because it's not the difference between winning and losing in the NFL. It's not so simple as saying, okay, if we just improve this will work. Well, we just leave this alone, but we improve this, then we're going to win. It doesn't work that way. It's every game has its dynamics. So you want to shore up what you do best first, and then you want to try and improve what you do worse, so you have opportunities to win these games, because now you have something you can hang your hat on that will help you win more games, because it's going to be the difference between winning and losing. it's not making any sense what I'm trying to say. I guess I'm just trying to say that yeah, I'm following all these cliches. I don't mean for that to happen, but what I'm trying to say is if there are things that you do well on a regular basis, you can count on them every week to do that well. You should win most games in the league. And too often we saw certain things that we did not do well, that we should do well, happen, and it came back and bit us in the ass, and that's why we lost those games. And that's why I say draft offensive players, bring in guys on special teams. Those are two areas we should do very well at that we don't do well, you know. So, and then you can start improving the defense. Well, then you can start looking at the defense, the holes you've been having on defense. We've been spending so much time focusing on trying to fix the defense that we kind of let some other parts just not do as well as it should. If that makes any sense, I hope that does.
It does. It does. Again, we want to push our April 25th show is going to be an expanded show of 2 hours. It's pre-draft. We're going to do a live mock draft, if I can pull all the strings real tight. We're going to do a live first round mock draft and see possibly where this one could go and that one could go as well. And we're going to have hopefully some special guests to speak to what the Saints should or should not do as well. Alan, do you have any extra points to add this week?
I really don't. We kind of mentioned both of them already. I mean, we talked a little about the Atlanta game. I mentioned, some stuff about the draft. My only thing is, I guess, and it's not really an extra point. My only thing is, for some reason, and it may be just because I'm reading too much social media stuff, but people have kind of embraced the whole George Allen approach to the NFL nowadays. Like Peterson, the people talking crazy talk about trading Ingram and letting Peterson play and all these kind of things, and it's like, sign Richard Sherman and go get this guy and go get that guy, because people are, I don't know, they get hooked on to looking at YouTube or looking at something online and going, man, and they're seeing Peterson back in 2009 when he was awesome, and they're thinking, God, that would be so great. He could play for the Saints and do this kind of thing. He's going to run people over, and it's not the same guy. And, when I start hearing things like, we need to get this, we need to get Richard Sherman, because if you draft a cornerback, all you're going to get is some guy who's going to take a couple of years to mature, and we need to win now because Drew Brees only has a couple of years left. And that bothers me, because one of the reasons why we've been 7-9 for so long is we are missing the depth, because we've missed on so many draft picks, especially defensively, and we've had so few draft picks because we're constantly trading up and trading picks away and things like that, that, we don't have the young players ready to take the next step, especially in the secondary this year, the linebacking core, running back. You don't have those young guys who are ready to play and make up the bottom half of your roster. And, trading away picks and signing aging veterans, if it works, that's great. But if it doesn't work, man, you've got holes in your roster and you've got a lot of dead money. And I know we said Peterson is just, somebody, a 1-year deal. It's really cheap. It seemed like the Saints had learned that lesson. But, you look at the Jarvis Bird contracts, you look at some of the Curtis Lofton, some of the players that we did sign, where we end up paying dead money. CJ Spiller, you know, I'm to the point now. It's like, give me, if we're going to sign free agents, low risk, short term, 1 or 2 year deals, not for a lot of money, and let's hoard some draft picks and get a full draft. Stop trading picks away.
I agree. I think that maybe inordinately, but going to play a big part in the future. And when I say the future, slight disclaimer, I want to say that this draft is going to play a big part in the next 5 years of this franchise. It needs to. I really believe that.
I think so. I mean, I think that, you know, I thought 2015 was a good start. And I thought 2016 was a much better draft. I'm very nervous about Ireland, but he has shown so far that he has done a much better job drafting than we had recently since 2010. We just need to start hitting some of these defensive players. I mean, we draft a lot of defense, but, you know, like I told somebody today, you know, he had 2 number 1 picks in 2015. You drafted Pete and you drafted Anthony, and Pete seems to be the hit and Anthony seems to be the miss, although it was reversed in 2015. You know, we need to start hitting on these guys. We need to find that Jimmy Graham. We need to find that you know, Carl Nix or that Marcus Colston kind of defensive player, because we can't just keep swinging and missing all over the draft, you know, and until we start doing that, we're going to constantly struggle. But
okay,
anyway.
Bottom line, and I don't mean to give away any storylines for our big 2-hour show coming up. You're Mickey Loomis, you're Sean Payton, number 11, number 32. What do you do?
I'm a diehard BPA guy, best player available. I go in with the attitude of I'm probably going to take a defensive end at 11 and a cornerback at 32. But if I'm watching a good offensive player slide down at 32, somebody who should have gone in the top 15, and for whatever reason he's sliding, I'm probably going to take a good hard look at him at 32, and I may take him. Let's just say it'll never happen, but let's just say O.J. Howard, for whatever reason, slides. Let's say the day before the draft, a news report comes out he got arrested, or they got some picture of him with a bong mask on, or some ungodly thing, you know, and he's sliding at 30, and he's there at 32. I mean, do you take him? You know, anything could happen. Hell, some BS story about marijuana, testing positive for marijuana, hit on draft day, hit Warren Sapp in 1995. And Warren Sapp, who's predicted to go, you know, in the top 3, is sliding. And hell, I'm getting excited because I was at the Draft Fest in 95, and Sapp is coming down the board, and we're picking, like, I think we were picking 13 or 14. It's when we picked Mark Fields. But Sapp went right before us to Tampa. But the Jets fans, I'll never forget that, the Jets chanting, "We want Sapp, we want Sapp, we want Sapp," you know, at the Madison Square Garden. And they don't get him. I think they drafted a tight end or something like that. Oh, the Jets fans are livid. It was hilarious. I love Jet fans in the draft. Yeah. It's my favorite thing to watch. But anyway, you know, so there's a good example. Somebody who was, what I'm saying, it's somebody that you thought was going to go in the top 3, and he starts sliding. So yeah, I mean, my plan is defensive end and cornerback, but you never know at 32. And hell, I may even want to trade 32 or trade down from 11 if let's just say both Thomas and Barnett go at 11. Do I trade down maybe because the quarterbacks are all available? Do I trade down to say 14 or 15 or 16 and pick up some extra picks because we need a lot of holes and take a top corner in the middle of the round, middle of the first round, and now you can save to the bottom of the round. You can address your defensive end. You never know. It's so open. So look, we're almost 20 minutes over.
I know. I want to take the opportunity to thank from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Nick Underhill, for making the time to join us tonight. We thank you so much for taking part in what we're doing here, and we also want to thank just as sincerely. We want to thank our director of media relations, Mr. John Pinto, because he played a big hand in in helping us to get Nick to sit in with us, and we want to invite you guys to follow our Twitter account at Under the Dome PO1.
And don't try and troll us.
At the same time, my Twitter handle is at DrewsDad3721. My esteemed colleague here, Mr. Alan Ulrich, is at 79Saints. Media relations is, oh my goodness, at JB Pinto something. If you will look on our Under the Dome Twitter account, you'll see
it's at jbpinto.rearendcollision.com.
You will find, if you will look up our Under the Dome PO1, you will find all three of our Twitter handles pinned at the very top of our page.
Absolutely.
And once again, from the bottom of my heart, I invite everyone to go and excuse me, let me get my notes here. I want to invite everyone to please go to at Dwayne 786553339.
Oh God.
And let this man know that he is not messing with anyone that he wants to play with. At the same time, at Under the Dome PO1, you guys, we love our followers. We love you guys so much, and we thank you so much for your support. And I'm at a loss.
Yes, thank you guys for following, for following us, for watching the shows, putting up with our insane rambling, especially like my rambling right now. Because like I said, I got it. Some of y'all heard this last week. I got a new dog, and she just totally destroyed this area here while I'm live. She's a puppy, a lab no less, and she just, when she gets bored, she just starts tearing into things, including my arm. She wanted to tease my arm. So yeah, so I was kind of distracted a little bit.
This is the dog we weren't going to get, correct?
Right. This is the dog last Tuesday that some owner, I put owner in quotation marks, abandoned on the side of the road, not once, not twice, but 3 times. She kept chasing after the truck, and she has horrible separation anxiety. And, she's scared of men and things like that. She's warmed up to me, and she's a very sweet dog, very loving dog. But she's also a puppy. So she's, very excitable, high energy. So, she's terrified to get in a truck or go anywhere because she thinks she's getting dumped somewhere. She won't let me pick her up because she's afraid I'm going to hurt her. This guy did a number on this poor little dog. So it's going to take a while for her to get used to stuff. So I'm trying not to fuss at her because she freaks out when I raise my voice and hides. So yeah, this has been a challenge for us because I'm also used to, I had 2 small dogs, a brother and sister. So now I've got a larger dog, and yeah, it's a little bit different for us. And So it's gonna be fun. She's gonna be fun though.
Sounds a lot like the relationship between me and my wife.
Oh,
but anyway,
she's terrified. You can't pick her up. She's terrified if you raise your voice, she won't get in the truck. I hear you.
That's it. Anyway, moving right along. Ensured that I'm not going to eat for the next week.
I think so.
We want to thank Nick Underhill once more. Brother, we love you. We follow your work religiously. Thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing here. To our followers, thank you so much for your support. It means everything in the world to us. We hope that we in a small way, we hope that we restore in you the faith and the faith that you show in us. We hope we give it back to you tenfold.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, like I said, we're over time tonight. So thank you guys for watching. We're one step closer, 1 week closer to Christmas in April. So join us next week on another exciting episode of Under the Dome, and look forward to seeing you then. And we're looking forward to that draft, pre-draft fest. Talk to you soon, guys. Good night, everybody. Why don't we hit this?